Are sirloin fajitas and arracheras real, true fajitas? Some say that only inside and outside skirts are the true fajita, while others say that any cut of meat cut into little strips is a fajita. You know, them are fighting words. We're bringing both of these two cuts of meat into the discussion to beef up the argument. We're gonna show you how to trim them, season them, and cook them up to perfection. Both of these cuts of meat are used for fajitas all over the country. And the fact of the matter is also that both of these cuts of meat are more tender than the inside skirt steak, which is the more popular fajita, at least in Texas. Sirloin fajita is actually a flap meat. This little tag came off of the box of the quote-unquote sirloin fajita. It says beef flap meat, and it is USDA prime. Most of the time, because it's such a thick cut of meat, it is butterflied, cut in half, opened up, and then grilled quickly that way and cut into strips in restaurants. The arrachera is actually a hanger steak. Now in northern Mexico and southern Texas, this is also known as a very popular quote-unquote fajita. Generally they're a little bit longer, and it's easy to identify them because they have a fat line that runs right through the middle here. They are also a very thick cut of meat when they come out of the box or off of the animal, and a little wider than the traditional fajitas. In both cases, you notice it has this very tough membrane here that needs to get removed. On the other side, we have a little bit more of that membrane. We also have a little bit of more membrane and fat right here. We want to get rid of that. And sometimes it peels right off, sometimes it doesn't. This is a little extra meat that was left on here that doesn't belong on the flat meat, but let's get rid of that. You don't have to have a perfect trim and get all the fat off. Remember that some of that fat's flavor, and some of it's just gonna render right off anyway with a high heat. So what you wanna do is get that little silver skin and that membrane off. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this big layer of fat here too. You know, I know some folks, one particular meat market owner that doesn't trim these at all. He just likes that meaty flavor. He likes to throw them on the grill that way, let the fat burn off some, and put the seasoning on the meat afterward. All he adds is salt and pepper after it's cooked, kind of like a lot of folks do with their steaks. Me, I like to put a little wow in mine, a little salt, pepper, garlic sometimes, way ahead of time. Let that salt flavor the meat. We're gonna take some of this fat off here too. Get rid of that, get rid of some of this. And again, remember, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but you also want to get some of the big fat off. And as high as the prices are on meat nowadays, you do not want to rob any meat that could potentially go into your belly. Look at this other side. Now here we have some of this big fat. We'll just knock that off. Get a nice sharp knife that you can slide right under that membrane, and then just very carefully cut it out. That one doesn't peel very easy. You really kind of got to fillet that one out. And that goes for all the fajitas. The flat meat and the inside and outside skirts basically have the same type of membrane that is usually left on. And again, it's probably left on at the plants because it is a very tedious little process to try and get it off. There's an age-old debate, as usual, like a lot of things in this world. You know, some folks get very adamant that arracheras are the true fajitas. Some people say only the inside skirt is a true fajita. Some people say the outside skirt is the true fajita. You know, at the end of the day, they're all good cuts of meat, folks, and we all come from different areas and different regions in our countries. And so it may be called a fajita where you're from, even if it's an arrachera. It may be called that because that's what they use in that area. That's what you all grew up with. You know, here in South Texas, the real fajita for us is the inside skirt steak. That was the one that popularized the name fajita way back in the late 60s, early 70s. All right, so this is a nice big hunk of meat, big old sirloin fajita. I'm gonna cut a little piece off of this one just to kind of show you guys what I mean when I say that it gets butterflied. And so I'm gonna cut this off right here, right close to the middle. I'm gonna cook this strip whole. And I'm gonna butterfly this one a little ways so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And that's basically a butterflied sirloin fajita, AKA flat meat. And you can see they have a lot of marbling inside, which adds a lot of flavor. All right, so that's our flap meat, aka sirloin fajita. Let's work on one of these arracheras. I'm basically the same. You just want to peel away any excess membrane or this very thick membrane. Generally, when I've bought them at the counter at the meat market, they don't have this extra little piece of meat here. This one does have it. And they generally are butterflied as well. They come in thinner strips. They cook a little quicker. But I'm gonna leave that piece on there. I'm gonna take some of this fat off right here. Now you notice that the arrachera here, the hanger steak, is considerably darker also. It is a dark piece of meat. It's very beefy. It has a little bit more of a minerally taste to it. And that's because of where it's located on the cow. And that's the reason why it's a little darker too. It's just a different muscle altogether, a different cut of meat. You want to get all of this ugly stuff off right here. So there we have it, folks. You have sirloin fajita, aka flat meat, or I should say flat meat, aka fajita. And then we also have one big fat arrachera there, which is actually a hanger steak. All right, so let's get these seasoned up and get them onto the grill. You know, my favorite rub is, wow, I created this rub just for hot and fast grilling for steaks, fajitas, any kind of chop or hamburger, things that are high heat. Turns out it works great on everything. So let's get them seasoned up and get them on the grill. I'm gonna flip them and I'm gonna season both sides at the same time. And then we're gonna go get fired up and start cooking. Starting to run out of wow here. I like to use these big holes because it makes it a little bit easier to get nice, even shake right over your meat, just like that. Now, you might have a different rub that's your favorite. Just use whatever you like, man. It's all good. Use whatever you like. This is what I like. I've got a nice hot fire going here. I'm doing a little bit of mesquite and a little bit of oak today. I like a blend of woods. And I got one log in there making a lot of noise, it looks like. All right, we've got the meat on the grill, looking pretty nice. All right, you want to do your quick flip. If you've got a nice hot fire, and you can tell that we have a hot fire, you can see that the color of the meat right away started to brown immediately. And I'd like a little more heat than that even, so I'm going to raise my grate a little bit. One of the cool things I do like about the Hasty Bake is that I can adjust my fire as I need to. Man, this is looking good. All right, man, these things are looking really good. Now, we're gonna be looking for somewhere about 145 to 152 or 3 internal temperature. This is a very thin cut here, just a little browning and we're done, I can tell right away. But these thicker cuts, I highly, highly recommend that you use a meat probe. I like to use the thermic pen and MK4. This is a really, really great meat thermometer. It's what a lot of the pros use. And especially if you're kind of new at cooking, you can see this one's already done. It's 160 degrees, 157. Time to move this one over to the other side, away from the fire. Bring this one over this way. It's really, really a good idea to use a meat thermometer. Now, I know a lot of you guys are pros and excellent cooks, and you've been cooking all your life, and maybe your dad taught you or your mom taught you, and you don't need a thermopen or a thermometer, but there's a lot of newer cooks that would really benefit a lot by getting some kind of a meat thermometer so that they can check the temperature. You're looking for that perfect doneness. You don't want to overcook it, you don't want to undercook it. Get a good meat thermometer. Look at that pretty color there. Generally, hot and fast cook like this, it's going to be a 5 to 10 minute cook total. Got a really hot fire. Fairly thin cuts of meat like this are done in just a couple of 3 minutes. And the bigger, thicker cut like this arrachera cut here, this also known as the hanger steak, is going to take a little bit longer, so we'll be pulling that off last here in just a little while. Flippity flip, flippity flip. Check that out. Love that sizzle. I know this thicker cut's not there, but we'll check it anyway. 120, not quite there. This little piece will be done very shortly. Look how pretty that color is right there. Got a nice, gorgeous little Maillard effect there. Nice little browning, nice little char. Now, we don't want to burn it, we just want to char it. We don't want to burn it. That's one of the reasons I like to use the flippity flip method. All right, I bet this little piece is done right here. 156, 163. Now, you know the temperature's high, you can tell. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but you still see the red juices still coming out. That means it's still a little more rare than the thermometer indicates. So one of the things about hot and fast cooking is that heat does penetrate into the meat quicker when you're cooking really hot fires. And so you're gonna finish at a higher temperature. Now, normally I like my steaks 135 to 140, fajitas about 140 to 145. But when you're cooking really, really hot like this, it's gonna be a little bit higher temperature. That was 160, and yet we still have some red juices running down. Let's see where this is at. This one's 126, 27. Oof. 148, 146, 40, 41, 39. Not quite there yet. This one looks like it's done. Has a really nice color there. Nice little char. Grill mark. I'm going to set this one aside over here too. So we've got 2 pieces of meat done over here. They're looking really nice. We're gonna let them sit over there away from the fire. They're still getting a little bit of radiant heat, so they're not gonna get cold on us. These 2 thicker pieces are taking a little bit longer. All right, so we've got us a nice little pan here where we can put our cooked meats in. They're gonna go ahead and rest in here. Looking good. This is looking good. Yeah, buddy, look at that. That's looking good right there. This sirloin strip is looking like 155. We still have a lot of red juices running though. Wow, sucker's hot. All right, sometimes a bit too hot. You need to get it over here close to the edge where you're not burning your hands off. 163, 70. I'm gonna pull it because most of the juices are running nice and clear almost. Very, very little red in there. I'm gonna pull this, set it right there. I'm gonna flip this one. Yeah, buddy, that is looking nice. I'll let it set a little bit longer. Probably gonna take another 3 to 5 minutes for that one to be done just because it's so thick. All right, let's check it out one more time. $135, $156. We still see some red juice running there. So we're pretty much right at that medium rare, almost medium. Pretty much medium on this side, way medium. All right, friends, we're at 140 to 150 some. We are definitely done. You do not want to overcook a really good piece of meat like this. These are perfectly fine to eat medium, medium rare, or medium well, anywhere in between. You just do not want to overcook it. So let's go ahead and get it out, take it inside, and make us some good taquitos. All right, friends, these are the sirloin fajitas first. We have 3 beautiful strips of meat here. They are very nice and very juicy. Look at that juice running out of them right there. And then we have these arracheras that we're gonna lay right on top of here too. Let's see, how do these look? Perfect. Man, look at that. Perfect pink center. Look at that, just nice, very, very nice. Pretty little center there. And let's cut this arrachera right down the side here where that little fat thing is. Get some pictures of this one. And look at that. That is just so nice. We're gonna pause for a couple of pictures here, folks. Now, very, very important. You see the grains right here, they run across the meat this way. Very important for maximum tenderness. You want to cut across the grain. Some people call it against the grain. I like to call it across the grain, which is the same thing. But make sure you do cut across or against the grain for maximum tenderness. All right, we got some arrachera here. Let's see what our sirloin fajita looks like. We're gonna slice some of this up too for the other taco. And we're gonna prepare these the same, just very basic taco. I'm gonna lay this plate here. And these are the sirloin fajitas. We're gonna put them right there. We're gonna lay the arracheras. This is the arrachera over here. And we're just gonna lay them in here real nice and pretty. I think that was part of the sirloin. Let's move it over there. Now you see these meats are very, very nicely cooked. They have that nice, what we call that warm pink center. And I'm gonna take some of this homemade salsa and just drizzle it right over the top here. And this is just jalapeno, roasted tomatoes, and some garlic. That's all that is, folks. And there we have them. One is arrachera on my right side, sirloin fajita on my left hand. So there you go. I'm gonna taste the arrachera first. That's very good. That salsa is so good. All right, I'm gonna take a little piece of this sirloin fajita. Very good, very soft. When you take that bite, you taste the roasted jalapeno. It's got a mild bite in there. Tomato has that little bit of an acidity, kind of a sweetness to it. And then you get that little hint of garlic, and then the meat, meat's so good. That's some good eats right there, both of them. All right, friends, you cannot go wrong with either one of these meats. You remember that the arrachera, the hanger steak had a darker color, the meat's darker. It's not as marbled as what you saw on the flat meat, but it's very tender. To me, it's very similar to a filet mignon in softness and suppleness and in flavor. It's beefy, it's soft, and it tastes so good. Now the sirloin fajita, which is flat meat, it's very soft, it's very tender. It's a very popular fajita here in Texas. You can't go wrong with either one of them. They're all fantastic. I hope you like this video. I hope you get a lot of value out of it. I hope that what I've shared with you will help you understand the differences between the quote-unquote fajitas and the non-fajitas. It doesn't matter what you call them. If you cook any one of these meats, you can't go wrong. They're fantastic. And also remember, this wow will be back on the market in the next couple of days. I did create this specifically for high heat grilling, like steaks, fajitas, you know, pork chops, hamburgers, and stuff like that. But it actually works great on chicken. It works on ribs. It works on everything. It's really excellent. Again, if you like the video, make sure you like it and subscribe, ring that bell, and so you don't miss any more videos from Arnie-Tech. Y'all remember to keep the smoke light and make it work. Boom! I love that sizzle. I can hear it. Sounds good.